Today on the iRacing Downshift. Kevin's not allowed to have pins in the studio. Chris reminisces on childhood.
It's fun to think back and remember things, isn't it?
And I am antisocial.
So I'm putting a sign up saying don't mess with me this afternoon.
All that and more. So strap in. Welcome to the iRacing Downshift. I'm your host, Greg West. I'm here with the boys, Kevin, Bobbitt, and Chris Leone. Another great show for you. Chris, it's Peak Week.
It is Peak Week, Greg. The eNASCAR PEAK Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Ding!
Well done. Thank you. Finishing up the season at Homestead Miami Speedway, we had some amazing playoff battles. Only one of the playoff drivers actually took a win in that round of 8, but the 4 who are going to be battling for the biggest share of over $100,000, 4 of the best drivers in the series. I can't think of 4 more worthy championship contenders.
4 worthy contenders with 4 completely different skill sets. You got everybody from Bobby Zilinski, who is a road course warrior. He also competes in our Porsche Esports Super Cup. Then you have people like Blake Reynolds, who doesn't even have a win this season, but he just keeps putting down good finishes. So, and everything in between, I'm incredibly excited about it. I know you are too, Kevin.
Yeah, there's more than one.
Oh, hey, you're here
to
today.
Play the game here. I mean, these guys are, different approaches, but all of them are here, right? They're all in contention. Whoever finishes in front of the others, taking $40,000 home with them. Pretty cool.
I spoke with a few of them later in the broadcast today. We asked the hard question: what are you going to do with the cash if you win? So, Chris, when is it?
It is going to be Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Watch on NBCSN's NASCAR America. It's going to be an awesome broadcast. We've got 2 hours to get this whole thing in. I know that the drivers are going to put down some exciting racing. One of the most interesting things to me, though, if you look back at last season, none of these guys were even in the top 5 at Homestead. They all made it. They were all there in the top 20, but none of them a top 5 finisher last year. So you don't really, for that reason, have a clear-cut favorite. I mean, like we've talked about, everybody has kind of had their moments and their things that they've excelled at. You know, Zack Novak has been really strong on some of the faster ovals. Keegan Leahy's fuel mileage and strategy has just been A+. Like we've talked about with Blake Reynolds, he's been Mr. Consistency. And Bobby Zilinski showed at Charlotte that he can win when it counted because he was last on the playoff grid. If he didn't win that race, he wasn't moving on most likely. So I really wouldn't say there's a clear-cut favorite right now. But anybody who wants to find out who takes that money home, again, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, NBCSN, NASCAR America.
I feel like you're going to hear that a few times during this podcast.
I think we're going to have another guest here that can talk a little bit more about the PEAK broadcast and the whole series. So stay tuned.
Speaking of our guests, let's get the first one in here. You know him as the president, CFO of iRacing. Mr. Tony Gardner sat down with Kevin and I this morning. Enjoy. All right, Kevin and I are back with our next guest. Always super stoked to have Tony Gardner joining us here at the iRacing Downshift. Tony, how you doing this morning?
Good, Greg. Good, Kevin. It's always good to sit down and talk about sim racing. So excited to be here.
Especially after a Boston commute on a rainy day.
Yeah. It was about double normal, and that's and normal's not fun to begin with.
Looking forward to the new office that we're heading towards because it's closer for, I think, all 3 of us.
All 3 of us. From about 90% of the employees, it's going to be a little closer. So
sorry, Steve.
It's a good thing.
All right. Well, something's happening this week. Got a big week ahead of us. Something PEAK related?
Yeah. It's just a little bit exciting. So this Thursday, October 10th, we get our first live PEAK race on national broadcast TV. So 5 o'clock, tune in. We've all been scurrying around here doing all we can to market it, and went down to NASCAR even last week, myself and Steve Myers, and had a bunch of meetings. A couple of the meetings were about about this, and let's put on a good show Thursday night.
Yeah, just to be clear, so it's on NBC Sports Network, which is available all over the U.S. Obviously, we've done a couple of broadcasts already. They were kind of all-star races with the PEAK drivers, but not actual points races, if you will, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they were all-star races. I guess you could call them exhibition races, but they were real races, and they meant a lot to those guys
They
and
sure
to
did.
us and to everything else, because it's pretty cool for those guys to be on national TV racing from where we started 10, 15 years ago on this stuff. So yeah, but this is the finale. This has been an 18 race season. There's $100,000 on the line. Every place matters, actually. We paid out all the way down to 25th place. So, even the top 4 guys, it must be a little nervous now. Bobby Zilinski, Keegan Leahy, Blake Reynolds, Zack Novak. But even those guys down below, they're racing for something. You got to stay in the top 20 to stay in the series. Otherwise, you're going to earn your way back in. There's prize money, like I said, all the way down to 25th place. So it's exciting for everybody, and they're going to be on national TV.
Absolutely. I saw, we were looking at some of the numbers, and I think that all the way down to like 27th or something or maybe even further, is still up in the air in terms of who retains their license for next year and who has to kind of requalify in. So even if you don't have a chance to win this thing, it's important to do well at this race. You'll win a little bit of money probably for the series, but you want to keep your license so you can compete next year.
Right, yeah, because we'll probably talk about it in a second more, but the prize money is even going up higher next year and even more in the line next year and even more excitement. So
That's a really good segue. Let's just go that direction.
Yeah.
Let's talk about next year. You just, like you said, had sat down with Steve in NASCAR. You guys were down there for a few days last week. Why don't you give us a little preview of what's in store in 2020 for our iRacing NASCAR series?
Yeah, we're in the planning stages, so everything is subject to change. But I'm pretty sure the prize money is going to go up to $250,000 next year.
That's a cool $250,000 for those of you keeping track at home.
Yeah, just for this series. So this year we'll probably pay out $120,000 in total. Because we also pay every driver a $500 draft bonus. Whoever got drafted, we pay them a draft bonus. So there's some other incentives too, like that. So we say $100,000, but we're actually paying out more like $120,000 this year. Next year it's going to be $250,000. Right now the plan is to $200,000. The driver prize pool will go up to $200,000. We're going to add a new team prize pool for $50,000, and that's going to be split a couple different ways. That who knows? That money could end up going back to the drivers too. That's up to the teams. We're not involved in that, but maybe the teams incent drivers with that money as well. So, it could be even more than $200,000 go to the drivers.
So that's interesting. So teams are definitely coming back. I think that we've seen the involvement of some of these big name teams has really helped elevate the series, right?
Absolutely, it was a huge success to add the teams, and really with their reach and just their clout and the influence they have on the industry and the fans. It's been a big win, and so we definitely want to keep doing that and actually even add some other high-profile teams is the plan, and we're working on that right now. I can't announce the teams yet, but there should be more than a couple coming in.
So we talked about this being on NBC Sports Network, which is amazing. There's a lot of questions I see in the forums and on social. Hey, I live in Germany. Can I watch this? Is there a way other people can watch this?
Canada, Keegan Leahy.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll still have the stream going on live. I assume it's going to be on all our it's going to be on all of our platforms that we normally have, like YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, NASCAR Facebook, iRacing Facebook, Twitch. So yeah, just if you don't have NBC Sports Network, go to our website and you'll be able to find a stream of the race live.
I think it's probably important to note that the more people that watch the NBC broadcast in the U.S., the better for us, better for the series, the more likely we can do things like that. Because if NBC sees that there's a following, I think that's good, right?
Yeah, the NBC, it's going to be two different broadcasts essentially. The NBC broadcast is going to be better. Go there,
right?
It's going to have all the personalities. That's going to be more exciting to go to the NBC broadcast and see all the on-air personalities like Parker Kligerman and Steve Letarte. Calling the race
along with Evan, the usual main guy, right? So.
And Race Spot, and we'll be helping out doing a stream in the background. But the A list is definitely the A broadcast is definitely the NBC live broadcast.
Well, like we said, eNASCAR PEAK Antifreeze iRacing Series Finale Thursday, October 10th, live on ABC Sports Network, 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
That's right.
I stand corrected, but. Peak's not the only thing happening in iRacing, and one of our favorite things to do when we have Tony here is talk about some of the things that are upcoming. Let's start off with the dirt side.
Well, it's not only PEAK, but it's not our only esport too. So we're excited about all the other esports, and those are all we're excited about all those for next year. So we're in the planning stages for all of those as well, and the prize money is certainly not going down on any of those either. So I can't announce quite what's going to happen for some of those, but
lots going on in the background.
Lots going on in the
background.
background.
That we're working on getting the payouts done for the Porsche Esports Super Cup. Getting those guys paid. They're looking for their money.
Yeah, I just signed about 30 or 40 checks yesterday for various things. The Porsche Series, the event over in Germany,
That's right.
and some other the other things. So writing a lot of checks lately.
good problems to have, right?
Yeah. So anyway, sorry to interrupt, Greg.
No, it's fine. So we have some cool stuff coming out for the next build, our Season 1 2020. I think one of the ones that's...
Which is roughly the first week of December for those that don't know the iRacing calendar.
But one of the ones that I think a lot of guys are really excited about is Lernerville dirt track. It's unique in the fact it has no outside wall.
Yeah, yeah. So you're coming in from the outside wall onto the track, which is the first time we've ever had that. So you're exiting from the outside wall, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's a great track. It's a track in Pennsylvania. It's one of the most famous dirt tracks in the country. It's a little under a half mile. It looks like a real fun track. I haven't done any laps yet. I'm just watching videos. I know the Alpha guys are enjoying it. I haven't had a chance to jump on yet. Have you?
I haven't had a chance to jump on it.
Yeah, I
I've
think
seen
we
some of
just put it in
the
Alpha.
art. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's something to do today. Definitely jump on that. But we have more things that we kind of have touched on earlier. The supercars. We just announced that partnership, and we already have those cars being built for next season as well.
Yeah, we're excited about that. Those everyone's saying those are on V7 tires. People are really enjoying those. Everyone's saying they drive a lot better. We kind of did the whole car over from scratch from a physics perspective. Graphically, it's a brand new, whole different car. So graphically, it's a complete upgrade. Physically, we went through it, complete upgrade. Excited about those cars, and those are looking good for the December build. So. You have the Ford and the Holden, so we're pumped to get those out to people.
Those I actually have taken a few laps in, and people are always talking about, can you drift in iRacing? Yes. If you get in the supercar, you can definitely drift in iRacing. It's got plenty of power to the rear wheels. But among our other new additions, this one's really exciting for the old school, the iRacer. We've got some exciting news with the Skippy.
Yeah, so Skippy's on V7 tires. It's also on our new damage model, but we actually are doing a complete update of the car from the ground up graphically. Physics-wise, we've been plugging away. It's kind of our test mule out there, so we've been keep improving the physics on it. But it was very dated from a graphic. It's not up to our current standards graphically, so it's got a complete new graphical update from the ground up. And that'll be in this build as well.
That's a car that I've been driving at iRacing since I think the day I interviewed here. I mean, we had
our first road car?
It was that or the Solstice. I think they were in development around the same time.
Yeah.
Obviously, well before we even launched. So
I'm sure the forums will tell us.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I think maybe the Solstice did beat it out.
It might have beat it out. That was definitely the rookie car, but they were in development way early on, and it's still one of my favorite cars to drive. It's so much fun.
Right.
Once you figure it out, it can be a little tricky, but once you figure it out, it is so much fun.
Yeah, we've come so far from that point, the way we do things graphically and everything else. So it was time for a face-off.
Greg and his team's pretty excited to have a new look
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
still a super popular series. I think it's top 5 easily road series on iRacing. Some people find it surprising, but it's just a fun car to drive and very drivable. It's not fixed setup, but the setups are easy to handle. They're easy to work with. It's sort of simplistic.
Yeah, not a whole lot you can do to mess it up.
To mess it up. So I think people feel like they're on the same footing in that car. You don't have to spend hours and hours tweaking things.
Yeah, and I think the racing's similar to like the MX5 series. It's always close racing. You know, it doesn't matter the split you're in. You're going to be competitive against a couple of cars, which makes it fun.
Yeah, a lot of our users just live at that D license, and they say they're having a blast. Just it's some of the best racing there is. You know, it's a momentum car, but there's definitely a lot of finesse to it. So yeah, it's one of my go-tos.
Yeah, so it's going to look. Your videos are going to look a little better in that car, and it's a little fun to look at the car next to you now when you're driving.
So everyone's gonna be demanding, Alex, where's our video? Where's our video of the new Skippy? But we also have another feature announcement. Now, this is something that people have begged for, especially if they've been driving around Spa. Well, we've been working on it, and Tony, you can be the one to announce it.
Well, thanks for annoying all of us, Greg, to annoying the engineers and annoying us. I've been talking
you
for a
pay me
while,
for.
but I'm glad you keep annoying and kept on top of it. So, yeah, we're able to pull one engineer off something else and get him onto this. So we've talked about, the issue, especially in these long races where, people, are driving over corners and piling up incidents and not really caring too much about it. So we're going to put in a new feature in which we're able to adjust by series to say you get to 8 incident points, we're going to make you do a drive-through. That we'll have control of that. We won't do it for every series. We don't know how. We haven't really talked too much about that, but the feature will be complete where, so the feature is based on incident points. We'll have the ability to penalize you by making you do a drive-through, a stop and go. We do hope to add the drive-through penalty as well, where you don't have to stop actually, but we haven't implemented that yet. I don't know if that's going to make the build, but it'll at least be a stop and go penalty we can implement, and that should be in this December build.
And hopefully this will end the forum debates of what the incident limit should be at the Spa 24 or any of these things. Like it'll just be a more fair way to penalize drivers who are taking advantage of the track limits.
Yeah.
And to be clear on that, like Tony said, this is going to be adjustable per series. We can turn it on, we can turn it off. It'll definitely be on for special events, and we'll be able to adjust at what level that incident limit is at that incurs the penalty. But a really exciting addition. I know our endurance guys are going to be super stoked to have this, and it should level the playing field just a bit.
Yeah, we'll have to decide where to set it, and we'll be getting community feedback, and I'm sure people will be letting us know what it should it be 8 incident points you have to do a drive through, or 12, 15. We'll figure that out, and it'll probably be we'll probably adjust it by series. Some series we probably won't have it on at all, but we'll see how that goes. But it's nice to have the feature and nice to have the ability to do that.
All right, Tony. Well, thank you for your time. We do appreciate it. Or you got something else?
No,
okay,
I was
cool.
just I'll sit here and talk about sim racing for another hour, but I probably have I'll go back to work too. So if you
got to
guys wanna
sign some
kick
more
me out-
checks.
yeah, go sign some more checks. So we'll get ready for Thursday's big race. So thanks for having me on, guys.
I appreciate your
Thanks,
time.
Tony.
Have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Always great to hear from iRacing President Tony Gardner, but he's not the only guest that we have this week. We have our 4 eNASCAR PEAK Antifreeze iRacing Series Championship finalists. Enjoy. All right, our first PEAK driver I'm talking with today, Zack Novak, driver of the number 6 Roush Fenway Ford. Zack, you're a 3-time winner this season. You're no stranger of winning the overall, being a former Ignite champion. Are you nervous?
Honestly, a little bit. This is the biggest race I've ever been a part of, so it's definitely nerve-wracking, but I think I'm up to the challenge with the whole Ignite race. I went through last year. That taught me a lot of preparing myself the right way, and if I'm nervous, I'm just putting myself in a worse situation than if I just go into it like it's any other race. So,
What did you learn from the Ignite? We'll call it the dry run for the PEAK playoffs. What lessons are you taking from that and bringing to this race?
Well, just the way I prepared myself. I didn't change anything up per se in my preparation for that race. I just focused up, put a lot of time into practicing and making sure I perfected my craft, and how I hot lapped for qualifying, and I tried some long runs and everything. So I basically did the same exact thing that I had been doing that whole time for the playoffs for Ignite. So I think the most important thing for this race is just to do exactly what I've been doing all year.
I think that is a solid outlook on a big time situation that you find yourself in. Let's take a step back now. Let's walk me through your playoff run so far. It's been a little bit different road for everybody, and I'd like to get your take, just quick recap of how it's gone so far, and then we'll talk about Homestead.
Well, we came into the playoffs with a lot of momentum, I think. We showed up to Kentucky, which was a few weeks before the playoffs, with a really, really good race car, and we brought that package to Michigan, and we brought a similar package to Bristol, and we had really good cars pretty much leading up all to the playoffs. And then Darlington was the same song and dance. I think we had a competitive car. Obviously, Keegan was really, really fast that race, but I think we were no doubt the second best car that race. And we showed up, didn't qualify well, but I drove up to the top 5 by the end of the first round, I believe. So, I mean, I think Darlington was a really, really good race for us. It proved that we were set back, and we still had the ability to come up and almost win the race. So that was huge for me. I've never really been able to recover like that, and I think that proved that we're a legitimate contender for the championship. And then Indy, I think we had a pretty good car. I didn't qualify well because I blew up on my qualifying lap, so that definitely didn't help the situation. But I got up to around the top 20, just rode there and hoped that something went my way, and it did. That whole fuel strategy scenario at the end of the race really, really helped me out, and got me in a good points position going into the Roval. And then I think the Roval, I definitely had more pace than I showed, but I was on pace for, I believe, 8th on my qualifying lap, and I didn't like it. So I tried one more time, and I qualified 18th instead of 8th. So I mean,
That'll happen.
I think overall, my playoffs were good. I think we didn't show those last 2 rounds as much as I probably could have, but we took the safe route, and I think that was probably the smartest option considering we're racing for 40 grand on Thursday. So
Cool. What are your thoughts on Homestead? You were 9th there last year, so obviously it's not your weak track. I'm just kind of curious on your thoughts.
yeah, well, the track's very different this year than recent years. First off, we're racing in the late afternoon, heading into the night conditions, so that's a big difference in itself. But with the package, the way we're driving the cars, the line is different for the most part, and the amount of throttle input's different. Everything's going to be different, the aero push. So I feel like although it's a track that we've raced on for a while, and a lot of people like Ray and Conti and other drivers have been in the series for so long, and they've raced on this track for years, I think it's a completely different ballgame for everybody. And I think that's going to put on an awesome show for NBC this Thursday. So I'm pumped.
Nice segue, because I was about to ask you what's it, what's gonna be like racing on NBC this year for the cash. That's a big upgrade. We've done a couple of the, of the All-Star races, but this one really counts.
Yeah, the NBC races have been awesome, but I think in that same token, people don't really realize how much different those races are to our actual races. I think our actual peak races obviously include a lot more pit strategy. The cars, like, people set up their cars differently, so people come in more at the end of the run, the beginning of the run, etc. So I think it'll be intriguing for people that have only watched maybe those all-star races that haven't gotten the time to tune into our actual races. I think they'll be really, really interested in how our races play out. And I think Homestead has always been a really good race for green flag runs and differing pit strategy and whatnot. So I'm really excited for that. Mainly, it's just I think it's a huge opportunity for fans to get more involved by seeing what actual product we can put together for TV.
No, it's going to be an exciting show for sure. Last question, I got to ask it. $40K on the line. What are you doing if you win it?
Well, my parents are a huge part of allowing me to do this and
Here, hold on one
allowing me.
second. I had a noise pop in. Crap. I'm going to ask that question again, and I'll edit it out.
That's fine.
Stupid Windows update. All right, Zach, so along those lines, got to ask, 40 grand on the line, what are you going to do if you win?
Well, first off, my parents are a huge part of allowing me to do this, and I've put my full focus pretty much towards this, and I think it's the one thing I want to do is try to become a professional race car driver. So this is the highest I've gotten so far to that goal, and I think the big part is helping my parents with anything they need financially, if that ever becomes a thing. But I've been lucky enough to have a financially stable household, and my parents have been a huge supporter of everything I've done. So that would probably be the first thing, and then if they need it, of course, and then probably just upgrading sim equipment and whatnot. Maybe like new monitors or new pedals, new wheel, whatever it may be. But I'm pretty comfortable with what I have, so I don't really know yet. Might not be a bad idea to try and get a test in a legend car or late model or something like that. I mean, it's a lot of money, so I haven't really even thought about that yet. Honestly, I want to focus on trying to get it first.
Well, there you go. Good guy, Zack Novak. Hey, we appreciate you taking the time today. Best of luck this week, and look forward to watching you on NBCSN on Thursday.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, we're back with our next playoff driver, Blake Reynolds, driver of the number 30 Team Dillon Esports Chevy Camaro. Blake, you've had a very interesting playoff run so far, most infamously known as the guy that ran out of gas at Indy. But this has been a pretty cool, season for you. You come out as one of the guys, you start off the season as one of the guys that was undrafted, and now you find yourself in the last round of the playoffs. It's got to be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. When I got picked up, it's just like my season kicked off from there. Top 5, top 10s left and right. And before that, I barely had a top 15, I think, in race 3. So, a very different season for sure for me.
What do you think the catalyst was with you getting picked up by Team Dillon Esports, and then all of a sudden the improvement in your finishing? Was there something that happened with that with that addition of the team, or is it just kind of the way that the chips fell?
Maybe it was just I was kind of down about the team thing, and I was like, oh, I just won the Winter Pro Series, and then nobody picked me up. And everyone was like, I don't know why somebody didn't pick you up. I was like, yeah. So I was kind of down about that. But I get drafted by Team Dillon. I was like, all right. And then that first Texas race, I guess it was like a switch of luck. Just kind of like and I ran all the way up to 4th in that race. And Texas is one of my worst tracks. So it was really surprising for that to happen. And then next week we got some behind the scenes kind of crew changes. I got a different group of people kind of working on my setups, and then ever since then it's just been flying. Been one of the fastest cars in the end of the race every race.
Well, obviously so, since once again you are in the last round of the playoffs. And speaking of the playoffs, let's walk through it a little bit. Let's go back to Darlington and work our way forward. And you, from your words, walk us through your playoff run.
Well, it was very frustrating at Darlington. Darlington's just a frustrating racetrack in general. And I had good speed. I did not qualify good. I got into the wall a little bit with another driver in like lap 15. So I had some damage from that. But I drove up through the field about 15th, got a quick caution. And then from there it was just holding the track position. Got another badly timed caution. And that didn't help at all. So I was mired back in the 20s, I think. And then I that final restart, we all crashed. I was right behind it, so of course it got in the crash, and I finished like 25th. And then Indianapolis, infamously, unfortunately, I very good car. Just I went too early. I would say I went 2 laps too early. If I had sat in line behind Casey Kerwin for 2 more laps, I would have won that race. But it happened. I got second place out of it, and I just moved on. So, and then the Roval race, hell of a battle with Garrett Lowe there mid race. It was kind of ironic. Like, everyone knew in the race. Like, if you asked anybody, anyone knew what was going on there. And he started 2 spots ahead of me in qualifying. So he was right in front of me on the start of the race. So, we battled that whole race. And that was just one of the most intense moments of my iRacing career. Just being like, oh my God, I passed him. Oh my God, am I really going to be in the Final Four? And then I crossed the line. It's like, oh my God, I'm in the Final Four. So that was really cool. And then it's just, been prepping for Homestead. I'll say we've been testing a little more than usual, as we probably should be. But yeah.
Oh, before we get into Homestead, this is kind of one of the questions I've been asking everybody, and you mentioned that you've been testing a little bit more. So, I mean, how are the nerves going into this race? I mean, obviously, a lot on the line. Has that changed your preparation? Are you nervous about it, or are you trying to take it as business as usual?
I'm trying to take it as a business as usual, but the people in the background that working on the car seem pretty nervous about it more than me. I'm just trying to get all the prep in I can, be the most prepared I can for any condition, any situation. Usually we don't have time to do that in some previous races, but with the extra 3 days I think we get this week, it usually helps.
Good deal. All right, moving on to Homestead. You finished 6th there last season. You said it's a lot like Kansas in our pre-interview discussion. What are you thinking about Homestead? How's it going to play out?
Well, like I said, drives like Kansas a little bit. I would say Kansas and Michigan. So it can be a plate race kind of to start, but it gets spread out pretty quick. It's going to be all about getting that clean air. If you're mired back 15th on back, the clean air is going to suck and your car is going to be tight no matter what. So just having a really good balanced car, one that turns in dirty air but doesn't spin out front with all the air on your nose. That's kind of what you're looking for.
Good deal. So, racing at Homestead, obviously a lot on the line, and then you have the racing on NBC multiplier. Does that change anything?
No, not really. But when I go and watch it back afterward, it probably will. I usually don't notice like what platform it's on. Even in the first the Iowa race, because I didn't get to do the Rockingham race. I'm talking about the pre-race we did, of course, but the Iowa race, I just treated it like any other race, and I watched it back like, oh, wow, I was on TV. There was my face on the ticker. There's my name on the actual NBC ticker. And, that's the cool part. You watch these races growing up, and you see your name and your number and even your face when you're up front on the top, on the graphics, on the actual one in real life.
And you got Parker Kligerman saying your name, too, doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. And, Steel Tart, Jeff Burton, A.J. Allmendinger.
The crew.
So that's really cool. I think that's what's really cool about it for me. Other than that, it's just any other race.
Man, how far sim racing has come, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I'm just really proud of where it's come. Like, I just can't believe in such a short amount of time it's elevated in such a way.
Yeah. All right, so $40,000 on the line. What do you do if you win it?
Probably put it into my car payment. And that sounds boring. Or I was looking at a rig, actually, because I race on a desk with a triple monitor mount on the back of the desk. I would like to have a rig, one of those fancy ones, but like not too fancy. I don't want a motion rig that flips me upside down or anything like that. I was looking at, a basic sim seat kind of setup. The SimSeats company, they're really supportive of the PEAK series.
Good deal. Well, hey, thanks for making the time for us, especially on short notice. And hey, good luck this week. We'll be watching, and yeah, wish you the best.
Yep. Thanks, Greg. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm here with Keegan Leahy, driver of the number 62 G2 Chevy. Keegan, you've had a pretty good run so far this season. Obviously, here in the last round of the playoffs, you got wins at Charlotte, the round version of it, Chicagoland, and 3 of your last 5 races, you've been in the top 5. Not so bad so far.
Yeah, well, I got to go for this win in Homestead. I think, well, we had the Chase playoff format the last couple of years, and both times the winner of the race ended up being the champion. So I pretty much have to go for that win. Like you said, I did win a couple of races at these 1.5 miles, but it's been a little while since I've been to victory lane, and it's starting to make me feel like it's going to be really difficult too. But yeah, Charlotte and especially Chicagoland, they're very similar tracks to Homestead, and I think I'll have a really good shot at least having a good shot at the win.
You see, I think it means you're due. That's the way I look at that, but my opinion doesn't mean a whole lot. All right, let's walk us through your last few races of the playoffs. From your perspective, how they all went down.
Yeah, I guess we'll start at the first one. What was that again? Darlington, something like that.
Yeah.
So Darlington, that was like a really difficult racetrack for me because the last few times I've been here, I haven't performed very, very well.
I think that's a difficult racetrack for everyone.
Man, it's so hard. Like, just the fact that you have to run right near the wall to make speed. Like, if you're even giving yourself a foot of room while you're running off of that extra banking up top, there's like with iRacing, we're modeling like dynamic track and like how shadows affect track temperature. So if you get right up near that wall, especially in turns 3 and 4, there's less temperature up there, so there's more grip. So like the closer you get there, the better. And yeah, you have to run like that to have a shot at winning. And I forced myself to do that. I pushed myself super hard to have the best shot I could at a win. It was pretty risky, honestly, looking back at it, to push myself that hard and say to myself, okay, I'm not going to drive easy. I'm going to drive this track super hard the way it's meant to be driven. But it worked out well. I led a lot of laps and didn't win, but that's okay. Indy was pretty much the same deal. Another really difficult track, especially with the dirty air that we have now. Running behind other cars is a really big challenge because you never really know how much grip you're going to have in the corner. And luckily I had a lot of clean air for most of that race. I know my teammate Bobby was stuck behind a car for pretty much the whole race, and we were on the same setup and we were both pretty much the same speed in testing. But once you get behind another car, you lose like 2 or 3 tenths a second, just like real life, and you really want to get that clean air and track position. So I had that for most of the race. Again, cautions didn't play my way at the end and didn't come out with a win, but really the main goal there was to make the final. And going into the Roval, well, I had a really good benchmark of Bobby Zilinski to practice off of. So
yeah,
I know exactly
he can
where
wheel.
I stood. yeah, he's okay. He's all right at these tracks. But yeah, I pretty much knew he was going to cream the field. So as long as I was pretty close to him in practice leading up to the race, I knew I would be okay. I only needed to finish in the top 30 pretty much to guarantee my shot at the Final Four in Homestead. But to stay out of trouble, you have to be in the lead basically at these races. So I really wanted to be as fast as I could, even though I knew I only needed to finish 30th or so.
Good deal. What are your thoughts going into Homestead as far as the track and your preparation?
Yeah, so Homestead's a pretty good track for me. It was actually the only race that I won in the 2017 Pro Series. So that was the qualifier leading into the PEAK Series in 2018. So that win really cemented me into the PEAK field for the next year. And I led every single lap that race. And I did not expect that coming into it because Homestead was never really one of my good 1.5 miles, but I put in a lot of work. Started to learn the multi-grooves of the track because that was also the year when dynamic track really started to come into play, where we were modeling rubber buildup and heat buildup and all that stuff. So I put a lot of work into learning exactly how the track was going to evolve and placing my car in the right spot on track during the race to really maximize my speed. And I think I can do that this year again. It's going to be really difficult again with the dirty air and stuff, and the lines you drive is going to be whichever line other people are not in. So Got to make sure I'm comfortable with the track, which I think I am, and I think I got the speed for it too.
How does racing in prime time on NBCSN change anything, if it changes anything, or how does that affect you?
The biggest thing is I'm gonna have to race with a shirt on. I'm gonna be on webcam, right? So typically if I don't start with my shirt off, I take it off about halfway through once I get a little warm. I might
Guys,
still
this is
race
content. This is content you don't get anywhere else than the iRacing Downshift right here.
Yeah, so I'll probably race with my PJs on because that's not in the screenshot of the webcam. But that's the biggest difference, honestly. Besides that, I don't think I'll have too much stage fright. I kind of got over all that in my first year, my rookie year. So I think I can handle myself pretty well in the race, even knowing there's a huge audience and a lot of a new audience watching the race too. But I'm gonna try to keep that out of my mind and just race as well as I can.
Do your thing, man. So $40K on the line, big paycheck. What do you do if you win it?
Man, I don't know. Okay, I've got so many things in my mind. Okay, but I try not to think too much about what ifs because at the end of the day, it's about a 25% chance of it happening. You know, I can do everything right, and it's happened so many races recently where I thought I was going to win, and then 10 laps to go, there's a caution. So I don't want to jump too far, but I definitely pay off some student loans and think about getting a car and maybe even dabble into a bit of real life racing if I can find something within my budget.
It's been a common trend so far on this answer.
Yeah. Real life racing, yeah. Or student loans, maybe that too.
Yeah, I know from experience, sometimes that's a tough decision. Well, Keegan, thank you for your time today. We do appreciate it. Good luck this week, and we look forward to seeing you on NBCSN on Thursday.
Thanks, Greg.
Last but not least, I'm here with Bobby Zilinski, driver of the number 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry. Bobby, good week for you last week. It's been an interesting playoff run for everybody. A lot on the line this week. How are your nerves going into this?
I ain't feeling any nerves yet, but I know the day of the race I will. It honestly happens quite a bit for like most peak races. I'll be like nervous all morning, just really in my stomach, and then qualifying starts and it kind of goes away, and then the race starts and it completely goes away. Wish I knew how to fix that, but I think it'll probably be just about the normal nerves that I usually have.
I think that's just being a competitor right there. As soon as the green flag drops, now it's the easy part. You're doing the job, but it's all that thinking beforehand is what messes people up. Let's take a look back at your playoff run. I want to get it from your perspective. We know you, of course, you had the W last week at the Roval. That was huge. You walked away with that one. But let's go back to Darlington and go from there.
Yeah, Darlington. We had a pretty good car there. We were running really well. And, if you look at both of my results from the two first races on ovals, it looks like I'm a bad oval racer all of a sudden. But really, like, Darlington was just about the dreaded caution in the middle of green flag pit stops. Bit us twice. And the first time, we only dropped to, like, 6th or 7th. But at Darlington, that's pretty annoying because you're kind of stuck, being that it's a one-lane track. And then later on in the race, we had another, and that would put us in like 25th. And then there was a giant wreck in 3 and 4 right in the middle of the pack, and we got into it, nowhere to go. So, yeah, that's pretty much how Darlington went, but we still salvaged 21st out of it, I believe.
Well, it was good enough to make it to the finals, and then we moved on to Indy.
Yeah, Indy, again, really good speed, just at the at the perfectly wrong time. If that caution, we had a caution in the middle of the race when we were running second. We're pretty far behind Keegan, so that helped us. But if the caution came out like 1 or 2 laps later, it wouldn't have been a fuel mileage race. And I happened to get the lead on that next restart, but it was a fuel mileage race. I didn't actually think many people would be able to even make it. But being the leader at Indy with just this rules package, like you can't save fuel unless you're in the draft. So it's funny. I got the lead and I started pulling away, but immediately it was like, dang it, I can't make it on fuel. And then we ran out of fuel, pretty much had to pit, finish 36th.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking, but you got to make up for it because we went back to the road course, and of course you won the other road course earlier this season at Sonoma, running away, and you repeated that form at Charlotte.
Yeah, I was insanely motivated after Indy just because I knew. I mean, really had no choice but to go put in maximum effort like I did in the rest of the races, and especially at like Sonoma earlier in the year. I knew I could pull it off again if I just worked really hard, but I had my doubts because it was a new track. I won at Sonoma 3 times, but it's just Sonoma. I don't know if I can really do it at another track. And man, I put in so much effort just trying to like master every single corner, get the setup completely as perfect as it possibly. And at the end of the day, yeah, it paid off, and we got the pole, and we were able to just drive away. And like a lot of kind of things can go wrong. I had an internet drop earlier in the year when I was leading Charlotte on the oval side, so I kind of wanted to get a little revenge for that and win at the Roval. But yeah, I just put all my effort I could into it, and it felt so good to win. It was just like redemption because I was starting to feel really disappointed about my year because like we've had this speed all year and it's had some fun runs, and then we get in a wreck or something just goes wrong, and that's how the playoffs were feeling. And so to be able to go in the Roval and just take it back and give us this shot at title, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty solid victory donuts afterwards. Maybe you motivated Chase Elliott a little bit to step his game up. I want to go back to the Roval, though. What were your thoughts on the new chicane? Obviously, that changes things a bit.
That was awesome to see. I remember a couple months ago when that was all really going down with them at Charlotte, and it was about 3 months ago. With them putting the new chicane in, I'm like, oh, if there's any way iRacing can get this in the sim, it'd be amazing because that old one is terrible. I don't care what anybody says, that old chicane sucks. It really does. It was just too random, and it was just it wasn't really a good racing corner. And this new chicane was fantastic. You saw like Blake Reynolds and Garrett Lowe battling through there and crossing each other over in the new chicane. I'm just so thankful that guys at iRacing got it in the sim in time. That's like amazing. And so I think just about everyone was pleased to see that come in, but I was really, really happy to see it.
Yeah, we were pretty proud of the stealthy move we made. Greg Hill and the art team, Kevin Ironelli, and went down there and they got it squared away, and I think that's turned it around in about 2 weeks. It was pretty cool to be a part of. But let's move on to Homestead. Obviously, not the Roval. What are your thoughts so far on your preparation?
Preparation's been good. I work with Keegan kind of behind the scenes with setups. We've been friends for quite a few years now, and we're just gonna we're on different teams, obviously G2 and Joe Gibbs, but we have a setup alliance there between, and I feel like my driving's as good as it's going to be. I've been testing since pretty much the night I won the Roval. I went straight to Homestead. I'm like, let's get to business. Let's get this done, no wasting no time. And I think we're bringing the best possible car we could come up with setup, but I think all the other drivers, I guess not counting Keegan because we're obviously on the same stuff, but like Blake and Zach, I think their teams are probably going to be pretty close with setup. So I think we're all going to be pretty close on speed with the cars. It's just going to be whoever, can do the best job out there and kind of have things go their way. But man, it's going to be crazy, especially if we get like a late race restart. Oh God. But yeah, I just really want to, I'm really just going in there to have, hopefully have a clean race, no major problems. And, hopefully we end up champion. But I feel pretty good about it. Just, I don't know. There's a lot of momentum coming off the Roval. I just feel really positive.
Yeah, for sure. How does this one being it's not an all-star race on NBCSN this time. This is the real deal. How does that affect anything in your preparation?
It honestly doesn't. I wish I had some fancy answer, but like, it's amazing that we're on NBC, right? That's like amazing. I can look at that and say, dang, that's really cool that we've made it this far. But as a driver, I can't even think about it while I'm racing. I think the only thing that would be on my mind is I have a webcam on me now. But I'll probably forget about that after 5 laps anyway.
Keegan said he was worried because he's going to have to keep a shirt on this race.
I don't know what to say to that. But yeah, I mean, I guess, I'll have like I usually wear like double XL shirts, just giant shirts, but now I'm gonna have to wear something like that actually looks good. But I mean, I don't know. I ain't gonna be nervous at all about the NBC stuff. I don't think about anybody. Like I don't drive thinking people are watching me. I just drive thinking I gotta beat all these people in front of me and get this checkered flag, you know.
That's a good answer right there.
I just don't think about it. It's not something I tried to learn how to do. I just go out there and race. I mean, I love to race. It's who I am, and you know, a million people are watching or 10 people. It doesn't come into my mind.
I think it's going to be closer to the former than the latter. So, big question, final question. 40 grand on the line. What are you going to do if you win the whole thing?
Well, I'm only 24, but I feel like I'm pretty responsible with money. I'm probably just going to take my time and think about what I'm going to do with it. Obviously, the boring answer is just make sure all my bills are paid and I have a roof over my head.
No big
That
splurges?
is a lot of money. It is a lot of money, though. So, like, you know, I'm sure I'll figure it out. So I don't, like, treat myself with anything. I'm pretty boring with money. I just kind of, like, you know, just, like, race it and stuff. So we'll figure something out. I'm just thinking about that dang trophy, man. I just want that championship trophy. The money's amazing, but, like, that trophy is what I'm after. And to be the champion of this, you know, series that, you know, like a lot of people here in the series, like, we don't have funding growing up to go be NASCAR stars. We're worried about, you know, having a roof over our head, $100,000 race cars. So this is what we can do. This is why it's such a big deal to a lot of us, because this is our Cup Series, you know.
Yeah, and
So that's just how I think about it. I want to be the champion of that series, and it's, you know, that's, you know, I'm wondering where I'm going to put the trophy if I win it, rather than what I'm going to do with the 40 grand. But
those are all good problems to have. I wish you the best of luck this Thursday on NBCSN, 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, live. Running for the money, running for the Trekkers, running for the trophy. Bobby, thanks for making the time for us today. We do appreciate it. Good luck this week, and look forward to talking to you soon.
yeah, man, thanks. We'll get her done.
Great hearing for each of our championship contenders. And once again, tune in when, Chris?
Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific
On
NBCSN.
All right, let's take a look at the week ahead. Peak, obviously. But, Chris, we do have some other things happening in the world of iRacing.
We do have some other things happening in the world of iRacing, Greg. We've got the second round of the Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship.
Ding.
Heading back to Daytona International Speedway, we had a really exciting week one, and a pair of real-world drivers won too, but not in the order that you'd think. Mitchell DeYoung is the defending series champion, and he's been a champion in a lights car. He's run real well in a supercar, but it was actually Sammy Matty Trogan over at Set Promotion, Set Esports, who managed to outduel Mitchell in the season opener at Atlanta, which was also the first time that, God, easy for me to say, huh? First time that Atlanta made its debut on the World Championship schedule for Rallycross, and I'm excited for Daytona. I did 3 events there in the past. Incredible track, incredible. It wasn't an incredible time of year for us when we did it because it was in the summer, and I have never seen more kiddie pools in a racing paddock than I did at GRC Daytona for 3 years. But fantastic track, really fun to drive. Obviously, one of the oldest tracks that we have on the service. It was one of the launch tracks, and man, I remember years ago coming in here while I was still with GRC and on the simulators that we record right next to, and I was jumping the car sideways. And Kevin, you and Steve were looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? Because you didn't believe that the car...
That's a look we have with you often.
It's true. It's true. But you're looking at me because I'm jumping the car sideways because that's what it really does. And everybody's like, how are you not taking that straight? And I'm like, because I'm prepared for it to buck sideways because I've watched it do it a million times. I know I'm going to pull out of it and be fine. I have since lost that skill set, but it's fun to think back and remember things, isn't it?
My excuse is I'm just not very good. That's fine with me. But we also have a lot going on in the real world. NASCAR going to Dega. It's going to be an expensive weekend.
Man, I feel like if Joe Gibbs Racing or Roush Fenway Racing takes home that $40,000, they might be asking their drivers for a loan after this one. Talladega, always exciting because you always have the potential for the big one, but you know how it goes. I mean, if you're a playoff driver and you take that victory, if you just cut your way through the mess, if you get lucky, if you channel Ryan Preece at Daytona earlier this year and just magically drive through everything, then you're punching your ticket to the next round. So it's going to be really exciting to see if any of our remaining 12 playoff drivers, Kyle Larson obviously punched his ticket at Dover, but we'll see if anybody can do the same thing at Dega. Likewise, we'll see the same thing for the trucks. It's the start of their round of 6, and with 2 drivers gone after the Vegas elimination race, the intensity is going to be cranked up to 11.
So Larson's the only one that's relaxed going into Talladega, right?
You can relax going to Dega?
I guess.
He's locked in, right?
Yeah, I guess he can just pull it off if he wants, but no, that's not Kyle Larson. We all know that. That man will wheel anything with an engine.
Moving on, we also have IMSA Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta. Kevin, this is a series that has a soft spot for you. You do a lot of work with IMSA.
I do, yeah. The final round of the WeatherTech series. Really excited to see the Coke Porsche paint scheme. Very cool. Nice throwback scheme. Unfortunately, I won't be down there this weekend for the final race of the IMSA Prototype Challenge series, the team that I usually work with. But we had some big stuff going on in the office this week, so
something's up.
Something's up. But anyway, wish them well. Wish MLT Motorsports well on their race Friday morning. But looking forward to watching full Petite on Saturday.
That should be a good time. I'm looking forward to Thursday night, though, because what's going on Thursday night, Chris?
Oh, gee, I don't know, Greg. Maybe we hand $40,000 off to our top eNASCAR PEAK Antifreeze iRacing Series driver.
Ding! Well, thank you for listening to this episode of the iRacing Downshift. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else that podcasts are found. If you want us somewhere and we're not there, let us know and we'll do our best to get there. For Kevin Bobbitt, Chris Leone, I'm Greg West. We'll see you at the track. When?
Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, NBCSN.
See you guys.